It's not a duel like the first one to end all fighting.
Oh, you're right.
It's just a duel to bring closure to this chapter of fighting. I'm wondering if there's something skeevy happening. So whether or not it is his mark, he has to claim it as his mark. Yeah, I'm having a brain blast thought.
Hello, and welcome to Winnow, a couple's close reading of the Iliad and the Odyssey. I'm Owen Gemmer.
I'm Isabella Gemmer. We are married and we love to talk about books together.
In this podcast, we are talking about Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, going slowly book by book, and this episode is going to be about Book 7 of the Iliad. Indeed.
I had no recollection of what happens in this book, so it felt like reading it for the first time.
Yeah, it's one of the shorter books of the whole thing. And it, in some ways, feels like a little bit of a transition from the kind of drama of Book 6 that we talked about last week. And then we were talking about books that we remember very clearly, and like books like 9 and 10, stuff like starts happening again, but we're in this like interesting kind of like, middle ground.
Yes. Yeah, it feels like a transition book.
Yeah. We also have decided to switch up our summarizing practices, just because our other method was maybe taking a little bit longer than we liked. So we're going to do a little bit more prepared. We both have two different ways that we're going to prepare a summary. Mine is inspired by many of the older translators, Chapman included, who I've been reading, who at the beginning of each chapter has a little poem that's called The Argument that basically summarizes the whole thing. He actually does two different ones, one that's longer and one that's just like a little quick rhyming couplet. And I thought it would be fun to write a little poem summarizing each book, and maybe I'll mess around with different forms. And Bella?
And then to complement that, in order to get a summary that is a little more grounded in the details,
yes,
I'm just preparing a little handwritten summary of each book. But I am trying to put limitations on myself. So, for example, the summary I have written for today's book, I am not allowed to use words that have the letter L in them.
Yeah, so like a constrained writing, like creative writing exercise.
Yes. Yeah, today I wanted to write the word challenge. I couldn't use that word. I wanted to write the word wall.
Yeah.
I couldn't use that word. And so
can I hear it?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I will go first, and maybe that's good because then people will.
Yeah, yours definitely will be more thorough than mine. Mine will be shorter and snappier.
Okay, Hector and Paris rejoin the fight. The Trojans start to win the upper hand over the Greeks. The god of the sun, whose name starts with A, meets up with Athena, and they argue that they need to pause the fighting. The god of the sun is on the Trojan side. Athena is on the Greeks' side. So they inspire Hector to fight one of the Greeks in combat, mano a mano. The war stops, and Hector proposes this to everyone. At first, Agamemnon's brother, whose name starts with an M, wants to fight. Agamemnon says to him, "No, sit back down." Then Nestor says he is now too aged, but in his youth, he did great stuff. He asks for someone, Nestor asks for someone to step up. 9 guys step up, and they choose one at random. Ajax is chosen to fight Hector. Hector tells Ajax that he intends to fight fair. Ajax gets the upper hand. He pushes Hector on the ground, but Hector gets back up. They are about to draw swords when 2 guys interrupt the fight. They say that Zeus favors them both, and night is coming, so they should stop. Hector yields, and Ajax agrees. They exchange gifts. The Greeks erect a barrier around their ships and chariots and dig a trench. The Trojans offer the treasure Paris took from the Greeks back to them, but the Greeks do not accept it. Both sides agree to pause the fighting so they can gather their dead and burn them. Things shift perspective to the Greeks. Poseidon is peeved about the barrier the Greeks are making. he worries that it overshadows his barrier. Zeus tells him he can tear down the Greeks' barrier after the war is over.
I like it.
Yes.
Yeah. It was interesting. I could tell, like where you had to sort of get creative with your wording.
Yes.
So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do the same form of poetry every time or if I'll mess around, but I wanted to start with one of my absolute favorite English poetic forms, the limerick. I just think limericks are incredibly fun. So it's just 5 lines. There's a duel between Ajax and Hector. It's a tie, the dark, their protector. Both avoid their downfall, and the Greeks build a wall. Poseidon's the only objector.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was trying to, like, the Hector protector objector was a fun, like, yeah, like, I kind of like challenging myself with rhymes to, like, not just go with easy stuff. Fallen wall, obviously, like, that was an easier one in the middle, but I like, to have at least one, like, these are kind of hard to work with.
Yeah.
Let's dive into now kind of our analysis and kind of talking about some of the bigger themes, and then we'll just kind of, take it where it goes. So the first question that I was thinking about as I was reading this, right? In book 6, I was very critical of Hector's decision to go back to war, especially after he was so sort of promising that his wife that like he's got to do this, he's got to try, and then for him to kind of turn around and pretty immediately start this one-on-one duel or sort of pose this challenge. I go back and forth whether that's a smart decision or whether it's incredibly foolish, and I'm curious if you have initial reactions, and I can kind of explain both sides of how I flip-flop between them.
Yes, Hector's decision to challenge someone. Yeah. Well, it's important to remember that it's kind of, depending on how you read it,
the gods
like
are meddling.
How much is it his decision? Because Apollo and Athena have a moment where they are in alignment on the fact that they should find a way to get the fighting to pause for a bit.
Yeah. And that's, again, another frustrating thing I've talked about before is like, it's really hard sometimes when sort of doing this character analysis to like figure out like, well, what can we sort of attribute to the characters for their decisions versus what is kind of, not their control because of the meddling of the gods. And so, you're actually kind of right that no matter what I might decide, like, oh, that's a great decision from Hector, or, oh, that's kind of stupid decision, it's actually kind of not even his decision.
So it's Helenus, who is one of the guys who reads the signs.
Yeah, the augurs.
Yeah, who can read the birds. He's the one who intuits the plan the scheming gods had chosen.
Yeah.
He tells Hector this is what they're thinking. And then Hector was very glad to hear these words. So at least Hector is not, he's into the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, because, right, so if we take Hector's analysis that he told to his wife Andromache in the last book, that, like, we're screwed kind of, and, like, we're probably all going to die anyway. In this case, this is actually, right, a one-on-one duel. Again, another one like we had in book 3 to end the war is actually maybe a decent scenario. Like if he thought the odds were like 10% we win, 90% we lose, and he can get it even to like a 50-50 in this duel, maybe even higher than a 50-50 if he really trusts himself to be like the best warrior and better than all the Greeks, then like that's a pretty good deal to like have the opportunity to actually end the war and not have your whole people die.
Yeah.
But the contrasting side where I'm like picturing Andromache, his wife, like up on the wall, still watching this to like have this conversation with your husband and then watch him go out and get into a one-on-one duel and challenge, send your very best warrior against me right now. Like the whiplash between like, I love you, wife, like I'm going to fight for us, to then like doing the most dangerous thing imaginable from an individual perspective.
Yeah.
Is like that's on the other hand makes it feel super foolish to me. But again, it's this contrast between Hector's desire for like his individual safety versus the safety of the people. Because if you're thinking about the potential upside for the entire Trojan people, this is absolutely a very good plan. If you're thinking about just Hector's own personal safety, it's much, much sketchier.
Yeah. And also, so it's also so interesting how Hector is like, yeah, this is a good idea. I should challenge someone. And he's able to get both, like, he's able to get all the army, like both armies, to stop fighting, and like they literally sit down, I think, and listen to him speak.
Yeah.
Which I think is it in my head, I'm imagining it to be way too chaotic for that to be possible. So that kind of speaks at least to like how much, I guess, like control and sway he has on the battlefield.
He's got aura.
Yeah, he definitely does. But he gives when he challenges a Greek to fight him, it's very like convincing that you should do that. And
because like in as much as this is in the best interest of the Trojans, it's actually not in the best interest of the Greeks, right? Like for them, they've been winning. Like why would they like put up? Yeah, like Hector is very clearly a very good warrior, so like why risk it?
And also because at first their motivation was to sack the city and get as much out of it as possible, and then it also seems like Agamemnon's motivation is to literally, kill everybody in the city.
Yeah.
So, they don't seem like they would be super willing to do this duel thing again.
Yeah.
But I want to point out that Hector at least kind of has something right when he says, "The son of Cronus who sits on high has not fulfilled our oaths. He looks unfavorably on both sides, pretending trouble for us all, until you Greeks break down your walls and capture Troy, or else until you are yourselves defeated besides the ships in which you cross the sea." I think that he is kind of, maybe he's one of the first to give a speech where he's not just saying, Zeus and all the other gods, or Zeus and these gods are on my side. He's kind of the first to admit, like, maybe we need to take this into our own hands. Take a little more control over our actions and the tides of the war.
Yeah.
And not be convinced that we're going to win because X god is on our side.
That's super great. Yeah. Yeah. And that is a way of sort of assuaging the frustration that I have. Yeah. But like, he's like, this is my decision. I'm doing this, even if it's actually not, because the gods put it in his head or in Helenus's head or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. He's also trying to right the wrong that came out of the first duel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's why he seems so keen on saying, like, it's going to be a fair fight. Like, I'm not going to be like he's kind of like subtweeting his brother. Like, hey, like my brother was kind of a coward and he like, got Aphrodite to get him out or whatever. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. He's like, that didn't go well. Obviously, that first duel didn't go well. Let us try to right the wrongs here.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting if we take him as trying to take things into his own hands, because then on the Greek side, in contrast, they are very much still in their decision making at the hands of the gods, right? Like Menelaus is like, well, I'll do it because this is my war, and Agamemnon's like, no, I don't. That's strange.
Because Menelaus was in the first duel.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll do it. And Agamemnon's like, no.
Yeah, but then they get like a bunch of volunteers, and the way they decide between the volunteers is just by casting lots. They're just like, let's leave it up to chance. And obviously for them, chance is this divine thing. And so they are leaving it up to the gods that like when they're casting lots and the person's like shaking up the thing, they're all like praying. And so that's interesting that the Greeks rely more on the gods here. It's like, the gods will help determine who should be the best person to go fight Hector. Whereas Hector's the one more taking it. Like, I'm going to take it into my own hands.
Yeah. I do think that the casting of the lots on the Greek side is very interesting. I just want after Menelaus volunteers, Agamemnon says, no, sit back down. I need you. And then Nestor is like, Nestor gives a very long, it's very
back in my day,
boomer coded, kind of, where he's like, when I was young, I could do it, and I know I could do it because I did this other thing, and he gives kind of a long story, but then the 9 men are inspired enough by Nestor's talent, like story, rousing story. The 9 men that stand up, one of them is Agamemnon.
Yeah, I found that fascinating.
Yeah, it's Agamemnon, Diomedes, both of the Ajaxes. Idomeneus, Meriones, Eurypylus, Thaus,
Yeah.
and
Odysseus.
is the last one. Yeah. Pardon my bad pronunciation. But I just wanted to, I don't know, I just feel like they needed to be named. But like it starts with Agamemnon.
Right.
Why? That's strange. And then Odysseus is like, yeah, I guess I'll also do it.
Well, but no, I think it's actually, right, this goes back to, I think, an interesting part of this to reconcile why the Greeks would agree to this. Because when Ajax is chosen, he seems genuinely excited to have been chosen because he's like, I will get glory for killing Hector, right? It goes back to this idea of like, in many ways, these guys are in it for glory and renown and these kinds of things. And so for Ajax to be selected by the gods to be the one to have the opportunity to kill Hector and like end the war, Ajax is like all for it. And so I think that would be why Odysseus would, Agamemnon himself would, right? Like if Agamemnon is chosen by the gods to have the opportunity to put an end to the war, like more glory to him. And so the Greeks are sort of in this kind of for themselves, right? Like they're like, even if we probably might have better odds overall of doing it as a whole army, then in that case, my glory will be shared with others. But in this case, even if the overall odds might be less that we win the war, the odds of my individual glory are way, way, way higher. Because if I end it, then nobody's going to remember these other people. They're just going to remember me.
Yeah. And then it's so strange that before they pick at random one of the guys, they pray, not for all of them to be picked. They send up a prayer real quick and they say, Great Father Zeus, may it be Ajax or Diomedes, son of Tydeus, or Agamemnon, rich king of Mycenae.
Yeah.
And so, they're like, okay, everyone's put their names in the hat, but Ajax, Diomedes, or Agamemnon are actually the ones we're rooting for.
Yeah.
And then
it's like,
out jumped that, the lot they hoped for, that of Ajax. And so is it in retrospective? They're like, oh yeah, we definitely wanted Ajax the whole time. Or like, I don't know how to make sense of that.
Yeah. I mean, cause it reminds me of, right, like the advice that people give, like if you have a decision that you feel split on, like put it up to a coin toss. And like oftentimes when the coin is in the air, you'll realize like which one you actually want. And then you catch the coin, don't even look at it, and now you just know what you want. It feels like that same thing of like, we're going to put 9 in there, but like, oh wait, no, we actually want these 3.
Yeah.
But I wonder though, like the fact that they don't then just limit it to those 3 makes me think, again, this goes back to the fate thing of like, it's more special if there's a lower chance, right? Like if we really want Ajax and we only put 2 lots in there, then like, okay, whatever, there's a decent chance it was going to happen. But if it's if it's only 11% chance that it's Ajax and Ajax is the one chosen, it's like extra fated because the odds were lower.
Yeah. And I do want to put forth one of my, sometimes I have little readings of the text that are a little bit skeevy.
Ooh.
So I'm wondering if there's something skeevy happening. I'll just read this. Genarian Nestor, horse lord, shook the helmet. Out jumped the lot they hoped for, that of Ajax. So a little tile falls out of the helmet. And there are marks. Each man has his mark on a tile. They say it's that of Ajax, but then the steward brought it through the group and showed it to each Greek champion. He walked along from left to right, and no one recognized it. They each rejected it. But after passing all of the other men, he reached the one who marked the lot and threw it in the helmet. Glorious Ajax reached his hand out for it. The steward came in close and gave it to him. Ajax examined it and knew his mark. He was delighted, tossed it on the ground again, onto the ground beside his foot, and then exclaims how excited he is.
Yeah,
because he goes, I know it says at the top of the paragraph that it's Ajax whose name comes out, but why we have to take the tile and show it? We go each down the line to each man.
Well, because I think their names aren't on it, right? Like it's implied that each person just puts their own little symbol on, but doesn't tell anybody else. And so it's like, this symbol came out. Whose is this? Somebody claim it. Yeah. Which is crazy, because then like if somebody got drawn and didn't want to, they could just, I don't know whose that is.
So I am kind of thinking,
it's such a weird system.
Yeah, I am a little bit wondering if, because like Nestor is going down the line. He's like, is this yours? No. Is this yours? No. Is this yours? No.
Yeah.
And then it gets to Ajax
wink,
at the end.
Yeah.
And it has to, because he's the last guy in line, it has to be him. Like there's no other option.
Yeah.
So whether or not it is his mark, he has to claim it as his mark, and he has to then act excited.
Yeah. Oh, so you think like maybe none of them were the actual, like somebody did a switcheroo and like they're all the same, like every single one is identical, but it's like unrecognized.
Maybe not identical. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's just they each kept passing it up. They're like, not mine. And then there's no other, once they get to the last guy in line, process of elimination, it must be yours.
Illuminati confirmed. Nestor is in charge of it.
Yeah. And then like, Ajax examined it. It says, and knew his mark. He was, but the steward came in close and gave it to him. Like, I imagine Nestor kind of leaning in and being like, just handing it, whispering in his ear, like,
Yeah.
sorry, this has to be yours. Sir, you dropped something. Like,
Yeah.
and then he has, yeah.
Like Lucius Malfoy, like putting the diary to Ginny's cauldron and like, oh, yep, this one's yours.
Yeah. Like, oh, you had that all along, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes when we read the Iliad, the Odyssey, for some reason, I don't think that we look for skeeviness
Right.
amongst characters, because it's like this old text, and we kind of maybe assume that the narrator is giving it to us straight all the time. That, I don't know, maybe we assume that people weren't as evolved and tricksy as we are.
Yeah.
And so we just assume all the characters are telling the truth, and always, and the narrator is always being truthful with us. But I like to look for moments like that.
And I think there's even extra evidence, not for this specific, but like for that whole approach, because again, like their system of beliefs is so obscure and kind of random. Like their weird religious, like the whole idea of augury of like, oh yeah, I saw it in the birds and all, like it's all a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, not everyone's actions are always 100% honest all the time. And
because the system is so obscure, it's hard to prove anybody wrong.
Yeah.
If there is, yeah.
Yeah.
Which also means it's also impossible for us to prove our theories, right? Like these are just
it's just a theory. Yeah.
But it is another interesting way to like add drama to what is otherwise a fairly straightforward and I think slightly boring book.
Yeah, it is. It is like, it's just a kind of a little duel. Again, a duel where neither party dies.
Right.
Again.
Super anticlimactic again.
But
there's all the drama of like it pierced through 7 layers of leather and then lodged itself into the wood and broke his cuirass but didn't pierce his skin, and like, the weapons are getting closer and closer. And like, it's nighttime.
Yeah. But although talking about the book as a whole with you is making me realize that like this is a nice transition book, and it's also a nice, like, it feels like things kind of do get sort of rebalanced. So this second duel seems to be sort of like a correction duel, like trying to rebalance the wrongs that were done in the first duel. And then also in this book there is a lot of talking about gathering the dead and burying the dead. And obviously that's what happens at the end of this book, is a nice big truce where literally the board gets cleared.
Right.
Everyone goes and collects their dead, brings them back to their side, buries or burns the bodies. And so, it's making me realize that the themes of burial are consistent with potentially like why this duel is taking place.
Yeah. That was something bigger you wanted to talk about as well, right? Because there's a lot of different, both at the beginning of the duel and when Hector is setting the stakes, and then obviously at the end, like the potential for burial and what to do with the bodies is a big theme in this. Because like Hector's initial terms of like, send me your best warrior, we will fight, whoever wins will keep the other person's armor for their glory, but will return the body, right? He's like, if I die, return my body, but keep my armor. If I kill you, I'll keep your armor, but I'll return your body.
Yes. It's so when Hector proposes to challenge someone, he makes it clear that if someone kills me, he first says, if someone kills me, he doesn't lead with, if I kill one of you. He leads with, if someone kills me, they are allowed to strip my armor, take it back to their ship, but send my body back to my own home again.
Surely nobody would ever be foolish enough to kill Hector and then not give his body back.
Yeah, that would be that would seem like a very strong breach of custom and trust amongst these peoples.
Somebody would have to be incredibly hot-headed to do that, and nobody in this book is that hot-headed, right?
Yeah, someone would have to be like almost insane.
Yeah.
To not return Hector's body. But then also Hector follows it back up with, and if Apollo, lets me strike one of you down, I shall give his body back. After taking the armor, obviously. And then I also want to just emphasize that later, when one of the Trojan messengers goes to the Greeks and he offers them their treasure back, and they do not accept it because they're in it to win it at this point. But they do accept the truce to let everyone collect the dead. Agamemnon says, "But we can burn the dead. Of course, I could not possibly object. No man should grudge the bodies of the dead the comfort of immediate cremation." And so I just wanted to...
Yeah, and so it gets to this interesting, again, that we've seen in many different ways, but especially here, this like contrast between, again, the brutality of war and then the like kind of like honor sportsmanship aspect of it, of being like super willing to make this truce and like recognizing that like, yes, these burials are really important and all of that. And I don't need to re-articulate everything I said in the last episode, but it seems so strange to have this contrast of like of war and humanity, and like them not recognize more of that humanity, but only do it at certain times. Like they prove that they are capable of recognizing one another's humanity, but not willing enough to do that for the long term.
Yeah, I'm having a brain blast thought, which I hadn't really seen before, but I'll see if you vibe with it. So one of the reasons that Hector and Ajax are told to stop fighting is because night is coming.
Right.
It's about to get dark. And the other reason is that like you guys are both great. Zeus favors you both. He wouldn't want to see both of you die or one of you die. But also night is coming. And there's a lot of sunset, sunrise imagery in this book. And so I'm thinking about how the book starts with Apollo, god of the sun, and Athena, god of war and treasures and victory, like agreeing to stop the fighting. Like symbolically, like because Apollo being like almost like literally the sun, right? Like he is kind of, I wonder if metaphorically it's kind of like he's saying the sun is gonna set, like the day is coming to an end. We should stop this. It's not right to do this in the dark. And Athena, being the goddess of war, agrees with that. So I do think maybe there's something metaphorically in the gods' interaction at that moment that could kind of make sense.
Yeah, so this truce happens because of the gods' intervention yet again.
Yeah. But I also do want to mention that it continues something that we've talked about, which is that righteous actions happen in the daylight.
Yes.
Right. And again, this was a theme back in the first duel that we got, but again in this duel, things have to come to an end because night is coming. So this would not be this duel cannot continue in the night. It needs to happen in the day when righteous things happen. And then at night, righteous maybe isn't the best word. Yeah. But at night, things get skeevy.
Right.
We need to not do this at nighttime.
Yeah. Like sneaking into somebody else's camp at night would be a bad thing to do.
Yeah. It would be very skeevy to wander into someone's camp at night. Definitely. Yeah. I wonder who would do such a thing. Yeah.
Okay. So enough teasing you with foreshadowing, but this also, the reason I again brought up this contrast between the kind of like sportsmanship of like recognizing the truce in contrast with, again, the brutality of war, there's a moment in the end of the duel as night is coming on and they're kind of like agreeing, okay, well, yeah, we should stop, that I found very interesting in the Greek. And so this brings us to our Greek time segment.
Greek time.
Oh, machine gun now.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Machine gun.
Cool. So I'm going to read this from the Lattimore version. I've been reading the Chapman, but for easy purposes and clearer transitions to the Greek, that the Lattimore is what I prefer. So this is about line 301. I'm going to start a little bit earlier, actually, 299. Come, let us give each other glorious presents, so that any of the Achaeans or Trojans may say of us, these two fought each other in heart-consuming hate, then joined with each other in close friendship before they were parted. Mm-hmm. So what I find really fascinating here, there's this contrast between sort of heart-consuming hate and then like joined in close friendship. Within those two lines, we were fighting each other. This heart-consuming is one word as a compound word, thumo boroio. And so thumos we've talked about before as the kind of, like not literal, like the organ in your chest, the heart, but more like your spirit, again, the place of your sort of courage and passions and these sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And then and then a compound with a verb that means to eat. So it's literally, like heart eating. Mm-hmm. And then hate, right? Like hate is really, the word is Eris or forms of that. Mm-hmm. There's a god that's Eris, the god of like chaos and hatred and things like that. And so, this idea of like they were fighting filled with heart-consuming hate that like literally like eats at your heart. Yeah. Yet, right now, we will be joined to one another in close friendship. This word friendship is related to philos, philosophy, Philadelphia. There's tons and tons of Greek or of English words from this Greek that means love, and then particularly like friendship love. Mm-hmm. And so, again, like it's in this really strange moment of like, we're here to kill each other, but no, let's be friends.
Yeah.
Like, wait, which is it? Come on. Like,
yeah. Do you mind if so you just read the Lattimore?
Yeah. Just Wilson.
Just read the Wilson real quick.
Yeah.
It's also good. Now, Ajax, let us trade some precious gifts. Then people on the Greek and Trojan sides will say we fought in life-devouring combat. But then we separated as good friends. Yeah. So
life-devouring,
heart-consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but again, like, I think we're meant to like see this as positive, as like, right? Like the good game kind of sportsmanship mentality. We like to teach our athletes and, when they're young that like sportsmanship matters. And like, like I think sportsmanship does matter, but like, it feels like if you're killing each other, it like goes out the window. I don't know. Like I even get weird, like when I watch like boxing or UFC fighting or something like that, that like, I understand that like UFC is like a sport with like agreed upon rules and things like that. But to go from being that brutal to another person and like literally trying to knock them unconscious, like that's the goal of the sport, to then like shaking their hand after and be like, yeah, good game, bro. Like even that's weird for me in the modern world, much less this idea of like, I'm literally trying to kill you right now. But good game, good fight. Like we'll see you tomorrow out on the battlefield. Like what?
Yeah. I do think from their perspective, even in a duel where the stakes are literally life and death, I do think that they believe that the one who dies is also victorious in a different way. The one who lives obviously gets to live, and they get real life victory, and they get the armor and the spoils, etc. But to go down, this duel is painted in a very noble way. Yeah. So if you were to be the guy who would be taken down by Hector, you would also like, I'll read, Hector makes this very convincing. Yeah. He's trying to get someone to challenge him back. And he says, one day, someone who will be born in future times will pass that way across the wine-dark sea, upon a ship with many banks of oars, and say, That mound memorializes someone who died in the distant past, when famous Hector killed him in glorious combat long ago. People will say these things in times to come, and so my fame and name will never die.
Look on my works, ye mighty, in despair.
Yeah.
Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck.
Yeah.
So,
but I do want to say, I just want
yeah.
to say that like, it's not a, obviously the guy who dies and that's bad, but the guy who dies still gets a type of glory.
Right. And for those of you listening who didn't get that reference, I was quoting Ozymandias, a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley. It's probably my favorite poem of all time. And it kind of, the overall idea of the poem just is in direct contradiction to that of like, yes, sure, you might get glory, but glory itself fades, and like no legacy lasts forever, and no amount of fame that you accumulate in this world will remain forever. And so, yeah, like I totally understand how within their worldview, yes, this is, I get the honorability of it. And like, yes, like I will, right. Especially for Hector, right? Like if he knows his people are going to die, like if he's kind of accepted that, like, if we continue fighting in the normal way, we're getting totally wiped out. And so I may as well try and make my final stand right here, right now. And even if I die and then my people still get wiped out, then like at least I will have gone down trying my very hardest. And like, yeah, within that worldview, he will get that sort of recognition as the person who sort of like died trying to defend Troy. I just think it's a bad worldview. But again, yeah.
I can't help you with that. I don't know what to tell you.
I know. But again, it does make for entertainment, and I think it's captivating. And
but is it yet again kind of a letdown that neither of them dies?
Yeah. Oh, I think
like
so.
Another,
absolutely.
like yeah. I went into this book not remembering what was going to happen. And I was kind of hoping like, let's get one of our main guys to fall now.
Yeah.
Obviously I know it's not Hector who's going to die yet. I have that. So I kind of thought maybe this was Ajax's last moment, which would have been more satisfying maybe. But then would the fighting have ceased?
Right. Yeah. We don't ever know. Like, right. If the fight had been straight up fair fight and Hector wins, like, would the Greeks actually heed to the agreement and like leave?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really remember in Hector's speech. I don't really think he kind of specified. It's very much, if I kill him, if he kills me, we get each other's armor. I don't really think I'm looking back at it, I'm not really sure he says anything about this duel will end the war in some way.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And when Apollo and Athena are talking, Apollo says, we must suspend the fearsome fighting for today. Tomorrow they will start the war again until they find the final end of Troy. So this isn't even a duel to end. It's not a duel like the first one to end all fighting.
No, you're right.
It's just a duel to bring closure to this chapter of fighting and to rebalance, to make things rebalance themselves.
To me, I think I glossed over that because that makes it even more unfathomable from Hector's perspective.
I agree. I'm even more like,
wait, why would you do this?
Why is
then?
Hector doing this?
Then in that case, like, best case scenario, you've killed one of the best Greek warriors.
Yeah. I mean, this could speak to Hector's, like, he is the Trojans' best warrior. And he is, again, he's a foil for Achilles. He is sometimes hot-headed like Achilles. And this book opens with like Hector and Paris rejoining the battle, just as when sailors feel their bodies failing, worn out from pushing wooden oars through water, and in the midst of their despair, some god sends them a fair wind. So it was for the Trojans when those two warriors appeared to help them. So, like, Hector is a force on the battlefield, and this book opens with like his presence really rallying everyone. And
so it might be pride on his part of like he wants glory for himself.
Yeah, like, you know, he's behind the gates, like, getting all teary-eyed and like, oh my goodness. But then he gets back out there again and he's like, this is where I belong. I want to go to war.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we see him not making great decisions on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think I had kind of just totally glossed over that, just assuming like, of course you would want, if you're going to do something this risky, you would want the stakes to be really high. Because never crossed my mind that somebody would do that just for like a little bit of glory. And like, I guess, again, the chance. Well, here's the other thing that we haven't talked about. Like, again, this is the whole debate about casting lots between the Greeks to find the best warrior is also happening because Achilles is not there, right? Like if Achilles was there, it would be obvious. I want to challenge Achilles because he is very clearly the best of the Greek warriors. But because he's not there, you must choose one of you guys. So this is another, like, all of this is happening in the way it's happening because Achilles, back in book 1, decided to sit out. And this would all be playing out super differently if Achilles were here.
Yeah, obviously.
And that'll do it for book 7. Tune back in next week for book 8. If you want to get ahead of things, again, remember I am recording an audiobook of Samuel Butler's translation of the Odyssey. So we'll link that if you want to listen to book 8 or read it on your own. Or otherwise, we'll summarize it at the beginning. And we'll look forward to getting more into the Iliad.
Yep. I'm not 100% sure what happens next.
Which is kind of exciting.
Yeah. I know what happens like when we get closer to the end, but some of this middle stuff, I'm like, this is exciting. I don't know what's happening.
All right. We'll see you then for book 8.
Happy reading.